What a whirlwind of a Friday morning. Welcome to GFP Express. I'm your host, Garrett McClintock. If you went to bed last night thinking all was resolved, yesterday we got the news that the Oregon and Washington supposedly had offers in hand to go to the Big Ten. The Arizona Board of Regents met last night. It was reported that Arizona was a done deal. They got their approval that they needed, but Arizona State President Michael Crow was dragging his feet. It was reported on the Arizona 247 site that it was like talking to a wall. I don't understand Michael Crow. This would ruin his career. He's been the president at ASU for way too long, and really he needs to just be put out to pasture, let's be honest. But we woke up to this morning that there was a last-ditch effort, a Hail Mary, and you could tell there was a very coordinated effort in the messaging. You had Ross Dellinger, Pete Thamel, Brett McMurphy, Nicole Auerbach, Heather Dinich, every national person tweeting out all at the same time. They're in a meeting. It's looking like there may be a grant of rights presented. They got more money. Oregon and Washington may stay. And then it seemed like there was a last-ditch effort, and then an hour later, we get the word they can't land the plane, was the verbiage used by Pete Thamel. Nothing happens. Oregon and Washington fully engaged with the Big Ten, and we still haven't heard anything out of Arizona. It was reported last night that by Jason Shearer at 24/7 Sports that we could even see an Arizona announcement, made yet as early as today. The thing with Arizona was that he said, all their coaches were told last night, done deal, sign, sealed, deliver. So it is a wild, wild day in terms of conference realignment. I think ultimately this is just a push. Obviously the Pac-12, they wanted to have their last-ditch effort. The reported offer from Oregon or to Oregon and Washington from the Big Ten was that was for $35 to $40 million. Now, it was not reported whether that was just the TV number or whether that was the all-in number. One of the big misconceptions that people have when it comes to conference revenue is they see the TV number and they think that that is their only source of revenue, when historically, over the last couple cycles of contracts, that hasn't been about 2/3 of their total distribution. So when you see the Big 12 $31.7 million number, that is just what the TV revenue portion is going to be of the next contract, where this year, for example, the Big 12 distributed $44 million to its members overall. And so the goal is to be in the $50 to $55 million all in. And for the SEC and the Big 10, that $55 to $65-ish million, that range, $10 million is a big range, but that range is what is just their TV portion. And when you hear the Big Ten is going to make $100 million, SEC is going to make $100 million, that is their all in, including CFP payouts, the March Madness tournament credits, any conference revenue from merchandise sales or championship games that are not, gate revenue from conference basketball tournaments, and all of those whatever other form you can get from corporate sponsorships, whatever it is, that's the all-in number. So if Washington and Oregon were looking at we're looking at $35 to $40 million as a final number, then they would be, if they move to the Big 12, even temporarily, they would be making $15 to $20 million a year more over the next 6 years than they would in the Big 10. And to be honest, the Big 10, and then if you move to the Big 12, well, the Big 12, in my opinion, is firmly third in terms of the pecking order, in terms of on-field quality. There is an easier path to a playoff coming through the Big 12 than there is in the Big 10, having to play, no matter which way you cut it, you're probably going to end up having to play 2 out of USC, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State a year. Those are 2 pretty big things. Plus, you have Wisconsin, Michigan State, all these other schools that are not exactly cakewalks either. So it is an easier path. And so I could see some hesitancy depending on what they want to do. The thing that did not make sense to me at all is that there were supposed concerns about the travel, specifically from the Washington side of things, because Washington's athletics budget is already in a $6 million deficit, and they would supposedly reportedly add about $10 million more in travel costs by joining this league. I'm long been a proponent that for all league games, travel costs should be subsidized, and that should be paid for by the league office. Like, if you want us to be in this league and we want you here, we want to be with you, we want to be partners, then Washington shouldn't have to pay more to travel because they're outside the footprint. If you really want them there, then everyone pays to get them there. You balance it out. You don't leave. There's two. Yeah, you invited two schools on the West Coast. I think that's really dumb. But putting all that expense on them to me is kind of dumb. Like that's not. You don't really want them in the league if you're making them pay extra to be there. That's not a good partnership. I think that league travel should be paid for by the league office. But I digress. With that, is Washington going to be able to afford that? They're going to go back for more money. It appears that this was all a ruse because now it says, the Big Tens are having another president's meeting this afternoon that wasn't scheduled yesterday. So it seems like they may be going to a formal vote or trying to get a little bit more money there. Where this is going to come from, where they're going to go. I imagine that Fox was reportedly had made an offer to the Pac-12 some time ago, 3 or 4 months ago, with for some level of linear option. It was not at a number that the Pac-12 wanted, but if they do move to the Big Ten, Washington and Oregon will basically be guaranteeing that all of their home games will be at that Pac-12 after dark slot, which most of them would have been anyway. So it's kind of like you were going to get this anyway. So if you can get and be in the Big Ten while you do it, then more power to you. But maybe if they can't come to a term to the Big Ten, I think there's a very, very, very small window that somehow they end up going as the 15th and 16th schools because it still looks like it's full steam ahead for the Arizona Wildcats. Then maybe there's teams 15 and 16 headed to the Big 12. Maybe the Big 12 can give them, a windfall to get them in the door. Whatever they need to do, it is in the Big 12's best interest long term to be to deliver the death punch to the Pac, however that happens. Now, we will watch this. It's reported, last night also that the Big 12 met and they did do a formal vote only for Arizona. So it was, to approval to accept or extend an offer to Arizona was approved unanimously by the 12 or 13 Big 12 schools. So I'm not sure if Colorado has a vote yet on that matter, but it was supported by those 12 schools. So I assume we will still see Arizona go. It seems like there's the all clear. It's reported that the Board of Regents wants ASU to go with them, and it appears that they're having to drag ASU rather than ASU seeing that the ship is sinking. There was reported that if Oregon stayed, then Washington would stay. Maybe Arizona State would be happy staying in a Pac-8 or Pac-9 configuration. But it appears that Washington and Oregon are going to make that jump to the Big Ten. Maybe there's a very, very slight chance that they can't work out a number and they decide to go to the Big 12 instead. There is that Texas and Oklahoma money somewhat still at their disposal that was given to the remaining 8 members to make up for the rev share for the 4 incoming members for 23 and 24. But maybe they give some of that to Oklahoma or to Oregon and Washington, give them a windfall, see how that works out. Please like and subscribe, fuel the algorithm, and thank you for checking out GFB Express. I appreciate it. The videos aren't long, but it still means a lot that you're checking me out. And we've had a great week, had a couple videos pop off, doubled the subscribers this week, and I hope to keep making great content for you. So thank you again for all the support.